We are within 24 hours of Jesse McCulloch. Yes, the four-star power forward from Ohio making his basketball decision. Will it be our Spartans? And after that, I'm going to make your take. That's right. You guys came with the takes, and I just blindly have to defend them. Let's go.
Are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Spartan friends, Spartan family, Locked On Spartans listeners, thank you so much for kicking off your day with us here at Locked On Spartans, your team in green and white 5 days a week here in the Locked On Podcast Network. Have any questions? Have any comments? You just have a really good bet, maybe for this weekend Zurich Classic down in New Orleans. Hey, LockedOnSpartans@gmail.com is the place to find us. We are within 24 hours of maybe, hopefully, potentially landing Michigan State basketball's second recruit for the 2024 cycle. This will be just a few weeks after they landed four-star shooting guard Kur Tang out of the East Coast. Yes, because Jesse McCulloch on Thursday, sometime between 4 and 4:30 Eastern time is the rumored time he will be selecting his future school, and it is between, well, you guessed it, that's right, our Michigan State Spartans, Virginia Tech, Alabama, and Xavier as well. At the time of recording, I don't want to jinx anything here. Let me knock on wood. There is some optimism that things are trending towards Michigan State, and honestly, they have been trending positive towards Michigan State for quite some time here. On Rivals, all right, there's two future casts. That's right, those are the predictions from the experts over at Rivals for Jesse McCulloch to pick Michigan State. If you like 24/7 sports as well, they have 5 crystal balls all predicting Mr. McCulloch to pick Michigan State on Thursday. So that's 7 for 7. And we're talking about a kid that's ranked in the top 100 in the country, 6'8" power forward out of Cleveland, has a really good front game. You know, he's not really a back to the rim sort of big man. He has a nice floater game. He's got a nice jump shot, some nice touch, plays with a pretty high motor too, from what I've seen on all his highlight tapes, and talented enough kid to lead Lutheran East out of Ohio to a 2023 state championship this year. And of course, looking to go back-to-back this year, as he is not even a senior yet. So that's going to be a big one here. Again, could be the second kid for the 2024 cycle. Would be pretty exciting. And hey, you know what? Whether he commits or not, we're going to talk about it tomorrow with Carter Elliott of Spartans Illustrated. He's a friend of the program, of course, one of the great basketball minds out there in the Spartan landscape. So already excited to talk about what Jesse does or doesn't do tomorrow. But right now, again, I'll knock on wood, it's trending that it will be doing some nice things for Michigan State here, should he pick our Spartans. All right, let's get into this segment here. Now, we haven't done this in a little bit, but you know what? It's the off season, so 'tis the season. 4 segments that we just kind of throw on the wall and see if they stick, and I think it went pretty well last time. We call this Make Your Take. That's right, on Twitter, early on Wednesday, I tweeted out, hey, we're going to try this again, make your take. Give me literally any take you have about Michigan State. I don't care if it's football, basketball, campus life, whatever it is, give it to me, and I'm going to blindly defend it. Now, this was taken a few ways. People giving me really hot takes that make close to absolutely no sense that I just have to get creative and defend, or they're just takes that these people strongly believe, and they just want someone else in their camp to be preaching to the choir as well. So a good mix here of some crazy takes and some pretty not so crazy takes, but let's get into it right now. Let's start it off by going into September in week 3 when our Spartans host the Washington Huskies, because MSU Goblin starts off with just a quick take that he wants me to defend. MSU upsets Washington in week 3. Oh, yeah. That's right. As we mentioned on yesterday's show, there's a lot of sports books out there that have Michigan State already as an underdog. I've seen it anywhere from a 4-point underdog to a full 7-point touchdown underdog at home against a Washington team that's probably going to be ranked in the top 15, if not maybe even top 10 in a few polls. They are going to be a strong team this year. So why Just why are our Spartans going to upset these Huskies in week 3? Well, here you go. What sticks out to me about the Washington Huskies side of things, yes, they do return a lot of talent. They return a good crop of receivers. Michael Penix is back for his 9th year of college eligibility somehow. They do have a good defensive front, but however, this sticks out to me right now as well. Yes, Washington is returning tackles, but inside their offensive line, the 3 interior linemen, they're replacing starters across the board there. So it's going to be 3 new offensive line starters. If you've listened to the show, you know how much I believe in offensive line play in football. That is where you make your money. And hey, that could be a little bit of a vulnerability for the Washington Huskies. Now, Michigan State on the flip side, not replacing a lot of guys. I mean, they're really only replacing Jarrett Horst. Also, Matt Allen on the inside too, but that became interchangeable at the end of last year. So, yeah, I think Michigan State will have the trench advantage, perhaps, especially defensive line against their offensive line. Maybe make life a little more uncomfortable for Michael Penix. But also, that's right, this is going to be a horse we will continue to beat into the ground coming up here the rest of the summer. And I'm telling this to myself because I think there's some truth based into it, but also I like blind faith as much as the next person here. This will be the This will be the 4th year. This will be the 4th year for this coaching staff, namely the defensive staff, namely Scotty Hazelton, a guy whose name has been thrown around throughout the season whenever the secondary absolutely collapses. But however, things weren't always smooth sailing for Pat Narduzzi back in the day. That's right, the storied former Michigan State defensive coordinator, as you guys all know. It took really until the 4th year for his system to really kick into high gear at Michigan State. And, well, it's the 4th year for this team, and Pat Narduzzi and Mark Antonio's 4th year. All right, 3rd home game of the season. Started a nice little 2-0 stretch, and they really had a chance to make a statement at home in week 3 against Notre Dame. Of course, that is the Little Giants game. No question that we all remember that one. So could it be another instance where a week 3 game rolls around at home, national spotlight? I assume this will be a night game, if not late afternoon, but there will be a lot of eyeballs on this game. And could this be the moment where Scotty Hazelton really reaches out to Spartan Nation and says, hey guys, I just needed some time to implement my system, especially with these young players. So here you have it. That's your win right there. So a little bit of who Washington does have to replace, because again, they are a talented team. But in week 3, replacing 3 new starters on the offensive line, combined with, hey, you know what? It's going to be a home game for Michigan State. And sometimes it just takes a little bit of time to implement a complex defensive system here. That's your recipe there. So hopefully I did enough to back up your take there, MSU Goblin. Next up, we're going to switch to the hardwood here. Hunter says anything less than a banner in basketball next season would be a disappointment. Yeah, that's going to be an easy one for me to defend right there. I've been long saying, I will continue to say it. You will hear this no less than 70 more times before next season starts, but one of 2 things has to happen for me to deem next season a success. It's either you got to get the Final Four banner. All right, I want to see that nice little Houston logo. How about a Phoenix logo for next year's Final Four up in the rafters at Breslin Center, or at the very least, the Big Ten regular season title. Now that could be fairly... Okay, I don't want to say easy because the Big Ten season is never easy, but the odds will definitely be way in your favor if the recent news of Zach Edey going to the NBA actually sticks. Now, of course, he did maintain his college eligibility. I would bet a hefty sum of money that he does come back to college. So that'll make it a 2-horse race for the Big Ten title between Michigan State, Purdue, and maybe Wisconsin has to say something about that, or maybe even Michigan should Hunter Dickinson come back. But regardless, Michigan State will be in the driver's seat for the Big Ten. So, yeah, they're going to have to win at least one banner. The Big Ten tournament, I'm sorry, that really doesn't do anything for me, so I'm not even going to count that one. But, yeah, they have the horses to do it. It's the perfect blend of veteran leadership. As we've talked about after Malik Hall came back, you're going to have 3 guys next year in Tyson Walker, Malik Hall, and A.J. Hogard that are over 23 years old, and also – well, yeah, it goes without saying, but a pretty talented crop of freshmen coming in as well. And then all the players in between that, like Jackson Kohler coming back, Carson Cooper coming back, Madi Sissoko, Jaden Akins. So, yeah, it's going to be the perfect recipe for what you want to see in a college basketball team next year. And with a Hall of Fame coach leading the way, that's going to have to end in a banner. So, sorry, those are high expectations, but you guys made them, Tom. So thank you for all that you've done here. And we'll continue to do at Michigan State. All right, we're going to be back with a lot more of your takes, but first, something exciting is coming to Built.com on April 22nd. That's right, we're talking Built Bar, and we are talking teasers coming on April 22nd. Now, I do not have all the details yet, but the excitement is real, and it's something that you won't want to miss. If you know how Built works, they have the most incredible protein bars in the world, and they do these amazing flavor drops with unreal flavors in limited quality. They just did one not too long ago, the cookies and cream puff. I don't want to over-exaggerate here, but quite literally life-changing. That absolutely positively slaps. So can't wait to see what it's going to be on April 22nd. So mark your calendars. Head to Built.com on Saturday, April 22nd to be one of the first to discover what all the hype is about. I cannot wait to see what the new flavor is. Make sure you use promo code LOCKED15. That's right, Locked on 15, Locked on 15, all one word, and you'll get 15% off your order. One more time, Locked on 15 at Built.com for 15% off your order of Built Bars. Let's get back into the mix here of your great takes. Again, everyone reach out. LockedOnSpartans@gmail.com is the place to find us. And we are going to go over to Greek Omelet. That's right, a great Twitter name. Tucker should handle the quarterback situation the same way Harbaugh did last year. Each of the top two start versus a cupcake. The better performer wins the job and starts versus Washington. I hate to say it. And this is also the prompts that I gave myself here that I have to agree with all these takes, but I kind of like that play out of Jimmy's playbook there over in Ann Arbor. Whether it was Fugazi, whether it was kind of a fake quarterback competition and they knew they were going to go with JJ the entire way, we'll never know. Who will ever know? But that's maybe kind of what it seemed like. Vanity, like, yeah, we're going to give them both the shot here, but let's all be adults about this. We're going to put in the guy with the higher ceiling than Caden McNamara. Maybe that is what you do here to start the season, because I can very well see this quarterback competition maybe even bleeding into the season. Now, it is a little easier to maybe not do that since Peyton Thorne does have 30 starts under his belt, and it will be just very easy to say, yeah, it's been the starter for the last 2 years. Of course, he's going to start year 3. He did enough in fall camp, but I digress. I wouldn't hate to see this quarterback competition maybe take the way of the Jim Harbaugh route from last year, just like Greek Omelet is saying. Give Peyton Thorne that week 1 start against Western Michigan and then against the Richmond Spiders. See what Noah Kim can do or Caden Hauser can do. And if it's anything adequate, anything that we haven't seen from Peyton Thorne, yeah, maybe you do let that go into the Washington game. And hey, Kim, that's your first start if you're really about that life. Or Caden Hauser, if you're really all worth the hype. Yeah, this is your time to do it against a top 10 team in the country at home. So it will be a very hard test, unlike Michigan last year where they had like 3 high school teams and then funneled into a pretty easy conference schedule. If I remember correctly, I might be misremembering, but you don't have that benefit because that is a pretty tough challenge early on. So, but yeah, that might just be the way that you have to go about this because with how close bunch these quarterbacks are, I mean, you might just have to see it in real game action. Justin writes in, Keith Nichol should have won the job over Kirk Cousins. Now, this is the version of giving me a take that is very hard to defend for 2 reasons. One, safe to say Kirk Cousins is pretty good here at Michigan State. And number 2, selfishly speaking, favorite Spartan of all time. Love Kirk Cousins. So for me to just knock him off the podium here, yeah, let's go with it, Justin, my man. All right. Keith Nichol, if you've ever seen one of the pictures of him from the 2011 season, that man had arms that was the size of elephant legs. That man was jacked beyond belief. So throwing the ball to BJ Cunningham or Keyshawn Martin, look, Kirk Cousins did an adequate job. All right. Good enough to have a double-digit win season. Keith Nichol, I think, could have thrown that ball 80 yards downfield and hit BJ Cunningham or Keyshawn Martin in stride. So that's what I'm going to go with, just pure optics. He was a highly rated quarterback prospect out of high school, as many of us remember, went to Oklahoma, transferred back to Michigan State after Sam Bradford beat him out for that job. But yeah, I mean, Keith Nichol is one to throw the ball, first of all. He did it in high school at a very, very incredible rate, but also, yeah, a lot of power in those arms. So, yeah, that could have lifted Michigan State's ceiling even higher, if you will. That's right. So that's the best I could do for that one. I don't know. I hope that was adequate, Justin. Next up, I don't even know how to pronounce this one. All Out He Coming is just the one I'm going to nail that one, is what we're going to call it here. East Lansing is a great place to raise kids because of MSU. I grew up a 10-minute walk away from Spartan Stadium. My kids are a 5-minute bike ride from Hubbard. It's a nice dynamic mix of culture, people, activities, and good schools. Yeah, I would have to absolutely agree with that. And that must be awesome, especially being so close with a lot of like reasonably priced events to get to. You know, if you're looking to get out of the house, kill some time, watch like a baseball game or a softball game, go over to DeMartin, watch a soccer game. Like that's got to be awesome to raise a family around and just be so close to such an awesome, you know, little college town here that also has a little bit of family friendliness to it as well. Zeke's fan page. Here we go. Okay. Wow. Zeke the Wonderdog should be head of the board of trustees. Just look at everything else that's happened on the board recently. I don't think it's that crazy to argue that a dog should maybe give it a spin here in a little bit because, oh my goodness gracious, has it been a calamity in the last few years there. So that we're just going to leave it at that. Cedar Village Bagel says from central location to CAF to setup to having few freshmen, Shaw Hall is the #1 overall dorm. Others may do one of those better, but it is clearly the best place to live on campus. Let's go for it. It is centrally located. You are right across the street from the CATA station. The CAF is fine. You know, that's like the basement of MSU Cavs, is that it's going to be fine. I really enjoyed my MSU cafeteria experience when I graduated there 49 years ago. But yeah, it is centrally located on campus. You can get everywhere at maximum a 10 to 15 minute walk. And yeah, it's just a fantastic place to be. So Shaw, yeah, let's throw a bone to Shaw right here. And then also McAllister Wells gives me the easiest take of all time to defend. Spartan Stadium should sell alcohol. Now, there was a little report today that dropped that there might be a bill that is going to be going across, I don't know if it's the governor's desk or anyone else politically important, that they get to sign that colleges can start selling alcohol at games. Regardless, we might be getting closer to the 5-yard line of this. But yes, I think Spartan Stadium should be selling alcohol. And I'll say it, again, you've heard me get on this soapbox plenty of times, but I'll do it one more time. Not looking to get absolutely waffled at these games. You know, I'm just trying to have an overpriced beer, like a $13 Coors Light that is served to me at 60 degrees Fahrenheit, just to stave off the third quarter hangover that you get from tailgating. You know, like these can be long games, especially if the season goes like it did last year. Just give me the chance to get ripped off on beer prices just so I can feel like a normal human until I leave the stadium. That's right. I want that nagging headache to be in the back seat of a car instead of, well, in my seat in Spartan Stadium. So yes, please just sell alcohol. Come on, we're all adults here. Well, most of us are. Steve writes in, Trayvon Pendleton was a top 5 D'Antonio era player. Let's get into it. There were plenty of great players for Mark D'Antonio. But yeah, Trayvon Pendleton, just because he was just Captain Clutch. I mean, all that this guy did whenever he got the ball in his hands, magic would happen. I think it was his first touchdown, if not maybe his second touchdown ever. Yeah, you know what? It was his second touchdown ever in the Rose Bowl. You know, just a little 2-yard touchdown in the Rose Bowl. Also, he had 1 touchdown in 2015, the Ohio State game in the shoe. A beautiful, beautiful acrobatic back shoulder catch from him. That definitely mattered that game. And that should have been another touchdown his senior year, that 74-yard and 74-yard and 11-inch run at Michigan in the Jalen Watts-Jackson game that set up an eventual LJ Scott touchdown. He had key blocks in the 2015 Big Ten championship. So, yes, I know his stats aren't up there, or, you know, he might not be in every single highlight package, but when he did have the ball in his hands, a highlight was going to come. And you can't measure clutchness any higher than you can for Trayvon Pendleton. So that's my argument for top 5 D'Antonio player of all time. Police Chief of Flavortown. It's a great name. As much as our fans hate to admit it, we are a basketball school. 85% of alumni would be happier with Izzo winning his second than football winning it all. Sure, you know what? We're going to go with that because, once again, this is the whole point of this segment here. 85% of alumni would be happier with Izzo winning his second than football winning it all. Just because, really, and maybe not just because, but a big part of it is just because of what Izzo has meant to this school the last 2+ decades, right? Whether it's on the court, whether it's everything off the court, this man is Michigan State, and Michigan State is this man. So to see, so to speak, the mascot of this school, the man that will forever be emblazoned in Michigan State lore, to win his second title and be in that pantheon of great coaches that have won multiple national titles. Yeah, I do think that the bulk of Michigan State fans would want to see that. Maybe not 85%, but it's definitely going to be a little higher than that. And also, like, I'm on that side too, because basketball has brought me more happiness than football in my lifetime. So yes, at this moment, I change this every time. Like next week, I'll say, football instead. But at this moment, with basketball going as well as it is, with Tom Izzo doing as strong as he has been doing, whether it's on the court or in the recruiting trail, showing no signs of slowing down, yeah, let's get him that second natty. MSU, everything. Noah Kim appears as QB1 at least once this season. I actually firmly do believe that. I do. Should he stay? If he loses this quarterback competition and decides, hey, I'm going to transfer, see you later, which I don't suspect will happen. I could absolutely see that happening. It's going to be another tough schedule for Michigan State. Again, they've done themselves no favors with this Washington game. That's going to be a very difficult game. Like we said, they are home underdogs. And then you got to go to Iowa. Early on, there's going to be some challenging games here. And if Michigan State starts off the blocks 3-2, 3-3, for example, if things get really squirrely and they drop a game they shouldn't early in the season, then yeah, like if you're 2-2, maybe after the Maryland game, you're going 2-2 with 4 home games. I could absolutely see the coaching staff being like, well, yeah, we gave Thorne the shot here for 4 weeks. We're 500 already. It's time to get new blood in here and see what anyone else can do. And Noah Kim, you're our guy. So that is a very, very realistic possibility that Noah Kim does get a start here. And it could be by early October if things go really haywire. Off the bat, kind of like they did last year. All right. Maddie May, that's right, my guy. He writes, Spartan Stadium and Breslin both need a retractable dome. And not for the reasons, that you think that we should name them. This is why they should have a retractable roof over Spartan Stadium, not for the cold weather games. They actually open up the roof there because this is Big Ten country. And if it's 20 degrees and snowing sideways, you keep that going. This is the bit of the Big Ten, especially like, let's say once USC and UCLA start getting here. No. Those boys are leaving their palm trees to come up here. Yeah, we're leaving the dome open in November. Close it for the September games, the ones that get really hot, the ones that are like almost 90 degrees and the sun is just beating down on not just the players, but us fans as well. Close it up for that. And also for basketball, this could play right into Tom Izzo's hands, and maybe even for the next few years, because what does Tom Izzo love more than anything is adversity that he can coach his team through. No shortage of that the last few years, but now that they have a good team, they might need to start knocking themselves down a few pegs. So let's say MSU gets on a nice little 4-game win streak. They're shooting the ball really well. Let's open up that retractable roof. Let's get some January wind in Breslin Center, a smooth 15 miles an hour, let's call it, just to blow some shots haywire. MSU shoots, we'll call it 3 of 21 from 3 that day, and then he gets to get back in the lab and just ream his team out that they are too reliant on their fancy pants shooting, and they need some toughness back in this program. So, yeah, I really do think that Breslin Center could benefit from a retractable roof just to get that calculated January, February loss that Izzo can go back to the locker room and start screaming at his team about how they're fat and sassy. So, yeah, well, if we ever get Tom Izzo on this show, God, I really hope we do one day. We'll try to run that by him. Retractable roof on Breslin Center. Gavin writes in, Mel Tucker won't take this program to the next step unless he takes the D'Antonio approach to recruiting. Higher rated recruits are needed and necessary, but focusing on the development of lower rated recruits when the higher rated recruits aren't obtainable is also needed. I think we're going to see that a lot this coming cycle as well. I think that there was a lot of lessons learned last cycle with having every single 5-star that could get on a plane to Lansing to sign up for a Ferrari photo shoot and then not even having MSU in their final 3. I think there are some lessons there, and well, whether it's out of necessity or that this is the route they want to go, they are going to have to start coaching up these 3 stars as well. And this is kind of on the point of that. The Athletic just did a great piece. I believe it was Ari Wasserman headed up this piece. They did 40 hours of research on this. It was what schools make the most 5 stars draftable 4 stars draftable and 3 stars draftable. And Michigan State, I hate to say it, but they broke it down to the 4 stars, and MSU is in the bottom 3 of turning 4 stars into NFL draft guys. They've had 52 4 stars. I believe that's over the span of 10 years for this little exercise, and only 5 of those were drafted as well. So yeah, it's not always all about the 4 stars here. You do need to coach up your 3 stars. Sarge writes, Sni-Fi cafeteria is just like every other cafeteria on campus and isn't special like everyone makes it out to be. 1,000,000,000,000% agree with that. I went to Sni-Fi once when I was a student there. Went to go see what all the hype was about, and I just did not understand it. Like, yeah, it's in a building that looks like it's out of Hogwarts. That's pretty cool, but no, it's just like it's every other cafeteria that's on campus, except like this one had some special ice cream that everyone acted like was better than all the rest of the ice cream around campus. Anyway, yeah, no, so Sni-Fi, not a needle mover for me. Not really centrally located on campus at all, so no, can't do it. Maxwell writes in, no one actually knows where DeMartin Stadium is. I don't even know how to argue that take. Okay. Maxwell, you got me there. Shoot. Graylish's Cavs, right. Michigan basketball spends a total of a month in the number 1 spot. Okay, to argue this, I'm going to preface it with saying that I do think that Hunter Dickinson does come back to Michigan. And this isn't based on any inside information or anything. I'm not catching a message board rumor. Like, this is how I'm reading the situation. He hasn't committed anywhere just yet. Yes, he is rumored to go visit, Maryland, Georgetown, Kansas is going to get a visit. But, like, at the end of the day, Dickinson got what he wanted. I mean, this is a man that loves attention, loves having people talk about him. He got that by entering the transfer portal, grabbing the headlines, being the talk of the town, and also getting his ego massively stroked by letting everyone tell him how good he is and how much he is wanted. And in the midst of all that, Michigan gets a coveted point guard transfer in Caleb Love, where if you ask Michigan fans, they just got the second coming of Cassius Winston on campus. And if you ask everyone else, they got a guy that is just fine. Like, he was okay, but still that might be enough to lure Hunter Dickinson back. If that happens, as much as we like to joke about Michigan and as much fun as it was to see them in the NIT last year, they still will be a solid team. Definitely one with a lot of experience, and experience plays in college basketball. So, yeah, you might need a lot of pandemics to reach a few other college campuses for Michigan to climb all the way up to number 1, but there is a good chance that they can be a fine team next year, and I think that Dickinson does come back. I mean, why not just go back to the place that I've been the last 3 years and do my third, last year at Michigan? Why not? And last but not least, Captain Curtis says Steven Izzo is related to Tom Izzo. They look identical. Now, if anyone's confused about that, Steven Izzo is the adopted son of Tom Izzo. So I think he's saying that there is a blood relation to Tom Izzo. But yeah, they absolutely do look alike. Same in stature. They're both on the shorter side of things. And I'm not one to throw stones in a glass house. I mean, I'd probably fit right up to them if we were lining up for a police report at a smooth 5'8" or 5'9". But the only difference here between the two is that Steven Izzo smiles way too much, right? Like, he's always way too happy. Whether he's on the bench or, you catch him out in public, for example, guy seems happy. Whereas, his dad, Tom Izzo, not always entirely happy, but yeah, I mean, they really do look like each other. And that's why it surprises so many people too, probably, when, the broadcaster says, the adopted son of Tom Izzo. It's like, wait, what? Did I hear that right? So yeah, I mean, great family. And that's something that Izzo also talked about as well earlier in the season as well. It's just, how beautiful of a day it was. And that adoption day, within 6 seconds, I believe he said, just felt like when he had Raquel, his older daughter, as well. So yeah, been in the family forever, since 2000. So yeah, been living together that long. You know what? You might just start looking like the people around you. How about that? So that is going to take us home for Make Your Take. Hope that went well. We'll give that another try later this offseason. Should you guys like it, let me know. LockedOnSpartans@gmail.com. And as always, you guys are the best. Enjoy the rest of your day. Love you all. Go Green.